My son forgot to hang up the phone. I heard her care is too expensive. She needs to go to a nursing home. I stayed quiet, but inside my heart broke into pieces. I sold the house for $900,000. They returned from their trip with big smiles, ready to take over. But when their key would not work, they found a letter on the front step. After reading it, they began yelling so loud the neighbors could hear. And I knew right then this was only starting. Before we go on, please like this video and tell us in the comments where you are watching from. The doorbell rang while I was washing my lunch plate. I had made tomato soup, the same recipe my husband Thomas taught me, though mine never tastes as good without him here. I looked at my phone and smiled when I saw the name. Marcus. Hello, Mom. How are you doing today? His voice sounded warm and kind, the voice that always made me feel safe and sad at the same time. I sat down on the soft couch in the living room, the one Thomas and I bought together when Marcus was born. Oh, I am fine, sweetheart. Just finished eating and was going to do some reading. I did not tell him that I ate the same soup for 3 days in a row, or that I had been looking at Thomas's picture for a long time before he called. Are you eating well? You know, there are apps now where food comes right to your door. I showed you how to use it, remember? I eat just fine, honey. I said softly, but something scared me yesterday. I left the oven on after making bread. Lucky I smelled the burning before anything bad happened. There was silence on the phone. I could picture him making that worried face, the same one his father used to make. The little lines around his eyes. Mom, maybe we should think about getting someone to visit you more often. Amanda thinks I am okay, Marcus. Really? How is your work trip going? You are in Seattle, right? Yes, the meetings end tomorrow. Amanda has been talking to new customers while I sit through these long talks about money and business plans. He laughed, but it sounded fake. Listen, Mom, I should go now. Amanda and I need to meet some people for dinner tonight. Course, dear. I love you so much. I love you too, Mom. Please be careful, okay? I heard a click sound, then some noise. He must have put the phone in his pocket, I thought, and I reached over to hang up my phone. But then I heard voices. They were not clear, but I could hear them through his phone. Amanda. You see how bad she is getting. Marcus's voice, but it was different now. Cold and mean. She left the oven on yesterday. What if she burns down the whole house? My hand stopped moving. My chest felt like ice. It is time for a nursing home, Marcus. Amanda's voice sounded like she was talking about throwing away old furniture. She cannot live by herself anymore, and you know it. Your mom is nice, but she is too old to be alone. The house is worth almost $1 million now. Marcus's voice changed to sound like he was counting money. With prices in Portland going up, we could probably get $900,000, maybe even more. Exactly. Amanda sounded happy. We could sell it, put her somewhere cheap, not too expensive, and finally buy that lake house we have been wanting. The one with the boat dock. My son laughed. He actually laughed. God, Amanda, you should have seen her today. So happy just to hear my voice. She has no idea we are planning all of this. The longer we wait, the more confused she will be. We should do this while she still trusts us completely. The phone fell from my shaking hands and hit the wood floor that Thomas and I put in together 21 years ago. Every piece laid down by our own hands, every nail hammered while thinking about our family's future. I sat alone in my quiet house, staring at Thomas's picture on the table. His eyes looked at me with a look I could not explain. Was it sadness? A warning? Or maybe the terrible knowing that comes to people who have already left this world? The big clock in the hall, the one Thomas gave me for our 10th wedding day, ticked slowly in the dark room. Outside, I could hear birds singing their evening songs in the flower garden Thomas planted, and I still take care of every week. Something cold and hard filled my chest, pushing away the warm feeling I had when I heard my son's voice just minutes ago. My hands, old and wrinkled from so many years of hard work, slowly made fists. They thought I was too much trouble. They thought I was confused, weak, and ready to be pushed aside and forgotten. They were already spending my money in their heads, already planning their new wonderful life while I was still alive. But I was not dead yet, and I was not as confused as they thought I was. I do not know how long I sat there in the dark with Thomas's face watching me from the silver picture frame. The house felt strange now, like the walls had heard my son's mean words and were holding their breath. My legs felt wobbly when I finally stood up to turn on the light. The soft glow fell across the living room we had filled piece by piece. Each thing chosen with love and paid for with our hard-earned money. The green chair where Marcus used to sit and do his schoolwork. The table I made in our garage, sanding the wood smooth while he played with his toy trucks near my feet. I walked to the kitchen and opened the drawer where I keep old papers and bills. My fingers found the folder I needed without even thinking about it. 20 years of money records I never threw away because Thomas always said you never know when these might be useful. College bills from State University. $42,000 over 4 years. I remembered working extra hours at the hospital, coming home with my feet aching and my back hurting. Thomas would have hot tea ready and would rub my shoulders while I paid bills at this very kitchen table. "Margaret, you are working too hard," he said one night, watching me count money to pay for Marcus's next school term. "He deserves better than what we had, Thomas. He is smart enough to do anything." Thomas had kissed my forehead. "Just do not give him so much that he forgets where he came from." I should have listened to him. Oh, I really should have listened. The wedding papers were there too. $28,000 for one single day. I told Marcus we could spend $5,000, maybe $7,000 if we saved extra, but he cried real tears about wanting his dream wedding. I worked night shifts for 7 months at the hospital to earn more money. "Mommy, you are the best mother in the whole world," he whispered during our dance at his wedding, his head on my shoulder. "I will never forget what you did for me." But he did forget. Just like he forgot who helped him buy his first car when he had no money saved up. Just like he forgot who called her friends to help him get that job when he could not find work for 9 months after college. I found the bank papers from 3 years ago, after Amanda lost her teaching job for reasons they never really explained. They moved into my house for a while, just until Amanda found new work. I never asked them to pay me anything. I paid for all the food, all the electric bills, everything for 3 people instead of one lonely old woman. Amanda would hug me and call me the sweetest mother-in-law in Oregon. Marcus would pat my hand and say, "Mom, we will pay you back when things get better." They both got new jobs over a year ago, both making more money than Thomas and I ever made together. But they never talked about moving out. They never talked about paying me back. The birthday dinner I paid for last month. $180 at that fancy restaurant downtown because Amanda said they deserved something special. The car problem I paid to fix when Amanda's car broke down. $2,800 that emptied my savings account. Margaret is like my own mother. Amanda told her friends at their cookout last summer. Her arm around me. I am so blessed to be part of this family. I felt proud, so proud to be the giving mother, the woman who took care of her family no matter how much it cost her. I went upstairs to the bedroom Thomas and I shared for so many years. It looks the same as it did 2 years ago when he died. His reading glasses still sit next to the lamp. His watch still rests on the dresser. I opened the bottom drawer where I keep our important papers and took out our house papers. Margaret and Thomas Chen, bought in 2003. No loans, no other names, no problems. Just my name now that Thomas was gone. Standing there in the bedroom where Thomas spent his last days, looking at everything we built together, I felt something change inside me. The hurt was still there, cutting like broken glass. But under it, something stronger was growing. They wanted to put me away and sell everything I worked for my whole life. They thought I was too old, too confused, too grateful for their fake kindness to fight back. I looked at Thomas's picture by the bed, remembering his voice from long ago. "Do not give him so much that he forgets where he came from." Well, Thomas, our son, definitely forgot. But he was about to remember that his old mother was not as weak as he thought. I walked to my small office and pulled out the card I kept in my desk for 4 years. Linda Price, real estate lawyer. Thomas and I met with her after he got sick, just to make sure everything was organized correctly. It was time to call her again. The next morning I walked through my house like I was seeing it for the very first time. But instead of seeing my home, I was seeing what Marcus and Amanda saw. Big rooms, high price, easy money. In the kitchen, I touched the smooth counter that Thomas and I put in ourselves, working late at night after our jobs because we could not pay someone else to do it. I had picked the pattern myself, white with tiny gray spots that sparkled in the morning light. I made breakfast on this counter every single day for 15 years until Thomas got too sick to eat. I remembered the winter morning when baby Marcus took his very first steps right here from the table to my open arms. We both cried happy tears. Thomas picked up our baby and spun him around while I looked for the camera. "Our boy is walking in our house," Thomas whispered with tears running down his face. "In the house we built just for him." The living room held 23 years of holiday mornings. I could still see 5-year-old Marcus's face when he saw the train set Thomas spent 4 months building in the garage. He worked on it in secret after Marcus went to sleep. Had sewn a tiny blanket for the toy people and made little trees from green paper and toothpicks. "Mommy, it looks just like our house." Marcus had yelled with joy, and it did. Thomas made it look exactly like our home, right down to the little window in what looked like Marcus's bedroom. That window had cost us 7 months of extra work. I had seen it in a store and fallen in love with how pretty it was. "Margaret, we cannot afford something like that." Thomas worried when he saw me measuring the wall. "If you want it, you will have it," told him. "I will find a way to make it happen." I climbed the stairs to Marcus's old room, still painted the light blue he chose when he turned 15. Still decorated with pictures of his high school friends and college memories. The room where I rocked him through sick nights when he was a baby. Where Thomas and I helped him with his math homework at the small desk Thomas built to fit perfectly under the window. The big bedroom was the hardest room to walk into. Thomas's side of the bed still had his water cup on the table. His book still sat there open to page 112, the page he never got to finish reading. I built these closets myself with help from a friend, made specially to be the right height for me. Thomas's clothes still hung there, still smelling a little bit like his soap. This was the room where we talked about our dreams, where we whispered about our hopes for Marcus, where Thomas died holding my hand while hospital machines beeped all around us. "Promise me you will not let people take advantage of you," he said near the end, his voice so quiet I could barely hear him. "You are too kind, Margaret. Too giving. Promise me you will protect yourself." Promised him. But I did not keep that promise, did I? In my office, I found the folder of building pictures Thomas had saved. Photos of me and workers building the foundation in spring of 2003. 23 years younger and 40 pounds stronger. Me and my helpers putting up the walls. Thomas in his work hat bringing us cold lemonade on hot summer days. His smile so big even though we were tired and sweaty. The money records from those years told the whole story. Extra loans, borrowed money from my sister, Thomas taking a second job at the store to help buy supplies. We ate rice and beans for months and months. Drove old broken cars that barely worked. But we built this house with our sweat, our hard work, our love for each other and for the family we were making. And now my son, the baby who took his first steps in this kitchen, the child who played in the yard Thomas planted by hand, wanted to sell it all and put me away like an old broken chair nobody wanted anymore. I picked up Linda Price's card from my desk. The edges were worn from 4 years of me holding it, but her phone number was still easy to read. Marcus and Amanda thought they were dealing with a confused old woman who would be grateful for any tiny bit of attention they gave her. They thought I was weak and helpless and ready to hand over everything without a fight. They were about to learn just how wrong they were. I called Linda's number and listened to the phone ring. My hands were steady and strong. Outside, the spring morning was bright and beautiful, the kind of day Thomas used to love. The kind of day for starting fresh and new. The law office was on the 3rd floor of a small brown building on Main Street. The kind of place that helped regular people with real problems instead of fancy rich people. I wore my best dress, the navy blue one Thomas bought me to wear to Marcus's college graduation, and I got there 20 minutes early. My hands shook just a little bit as I wrote my name on the sign-in sheet. Linda Price was younger than I expected, maybe 50 years old, with kind gray hair and the calm way of someone who had heard every sad family story twice. Her office had law books on shelves and family pictures everywhere. A husband, 3 kids, a big fluffy cat. The kind of normal happy life Thomas and I tried to build. Mrs. Chen, so good to see you again. Linda poured coffee from a small pot, the smell filling the room between us. I remember you and Thomas from a few years back. I'm so very sorry he is gone. Thank you. I took the coffee cup, surprised that my voice sounded so calm and strong. I need to talk about something hard. About my son and his wife. Linda sat down at her desk with a pen ready. I am listening. I told her everything. The phone call, the conversation I heard by accident, their plans to sell my house and put me in a nursing home. Linda's face stayed the same, but I saw her shake her head a little when I told her how excited they were to spend my money on their lake house. Unfortunately, Mrs. Chen, this happens more than you would think. Linda put down her pen and leaned back in her chair. Adult children often think they know what is best for their older parents, especially when there is money and property involved. But they cannot actually do anything, can they? I mean, by law. Let us start with the simple facts. The house is in your name only since your husband passed away, correct? That is right. Thomas and I owned it together, but when he died, it became just mine. Then, by law, your son and his wife have no right to your property at all. They cannot sell it. They cannot force you into a care home. They cannot make any choices about your things without you saying yes. Linda pulled out a yellow writing pad and started making notes. The house belongs to you. Only you. I felt relief wash over me. And then something sharper and stronger. So if I wanted to sell it myself, you could list it for sale tomorrow if you wanted to. It is your property, your choice. Linda looked up from her notes. May I ask why you are thinking about that? I thought about Marcus laughing when he called me too much trouble. About Amanda coldly planning how much money I was worth. About 21 years of hard work turned into just a money deal. They think I am helpless and confused. They think they can control me like I am a piece of furniture. My hand squeezed the coffee cup hard. Maybe it is. Time I showed them exactly how clear my mind really is. Linda was quiet for a minute, looking at my face carefully. Portland's housing prices are very high right now, especially in your neighborhood. Houses are selling in just a few days, often for cash and more money than the asking price. She stopped talking for a second. If you were serious about selling fast, before your son and his wife come back from their trip, how quickly could it happen? With the right buyer, and there are many investors looking for houses like yours, we could finish a sale in 1 week, maybe even less. Linda leaned forward. But Mrs. Chen, this is a very big decision. Once you sell, you cannot change your mind and get it back. I built that house with my own 2 hands, Mrs. Price. Every board, every nail, every special detail. I know exactly what I am doing. We spent the next hour talking about details. How much the house might sell for, people who buy with cash, legal papers that need signing. Linda explained that she could have everything ready in one day if I was serious about going forward. My fee for helping you is $150. Linda said as I got ready to leave. If you decide to sell, that money goes toward my total legal fees. I paid with cash money, feeling clearer in my head than I had felt in months. Walking to my car in the spring sunshine, my phone buzzed in my purse. Marcus's name showed up on the screen, and for the first time since he hurt me, I smiled. The phone rang once, twice, 3 times. I could picture him in some hotel in Seattle, probably looking at his watch, wondering why his grateful old mother was not rushing to answer his call. Let him wonder. Let him and Amanda make their plans about my future, my house, my life. They were going to get the biggest surprise of their lives. The phone kept ringing as I got into my car. Linda Price's card was safe in my wallet, and a plan was forming in my mind that would teach my ungrateful son exactly who he was dealing with. I had built my life from nothing once before. Could definitely tear it down and start over on my own terms. The phone finally stopped ringing, but I knew he would call back. He always did when he needed something from his old mother. This time he was going to get much more than he expected. By the time I got to my driveway, I felt confident and strong instead of shaky and scared. Linda Price's words played in my mind. It is your property, your decision. 21 years of doubting myself had lifted like morning fog in the sun. I was opening my front door when the phone rang again. Through the window, I could see it buzzing on the kitchen table where I left it. Marcus's name glowed on the screen, and for the first time since his betrayal, I smiled wide. Let him wait a moment. Let him wonder why his grateful old mother was not jumping to answer. I poured myself a glass of water, took a deep breath, and picked up the phone on the 7th ring. Mom, there you are. Marcus's voice sounded fake and too cheerful. I was starting to worry when you did not answer before. Hurry, sweetheart. I was outside in the garden. I kept my voice warm and motherly. How is Seattle? Oh, you know how these work trips are. Lots of boring meetings. But listen, I have the most wonderful news. He stopped talking like he was waiting for me to get excited. Oh, Amanda and I have been planning something really special for you. A vacation. That sounds nice, dear. Not just a vacation, Mom. He sounded so pleased with himself. We want to give you a break. You deserve rest and care after everything you went through when Dad died. His voice had that fake sadness I now knew was just an act. There is this beautiful place we found. It is like a hotel but with nurses and doctors there, just in case you need help with anything. A hotel with nurses and doctors. My teeth clenched so hard my jaw hurt. That sounds lovely, sweetheart. You really did not need to do all this for me. Course we did. You are family. Amanda's voice came through. She must have been listening too. We already made all the arrangements. When were you thinking I would go? I asked, knowing they wanted me gone before they came back to claim everything. Will we get back next Friday? Amanda said. We were hoping you could be ready by then. Just pack some clothes and personal things. You know, just what you need. Just what I need. Not the photo books I made with love. Not the furniture Thomas built with his hands. Just what an old woman needs when being sent away to die. Actually, Marcus, I have a surprise for you too when you get back. Oh, Mom, what kind of surprise? He sounded truly happy, probably thinking I signed papers or made his job easier somehow. I walked to the window Thomas built for me, looking out at the garden he planted, the chair where we sat together planning our future. It is something I have been working on since we last talked. I think you will be very, very surprised. You are so thoughtful, Mom. Amanda said sweetly. We will talk about everything when we get home, okay? You rest and we will handle all the other stuff. Thoughtful. She called me thoughtful while planning to deal my whole life. I will, dear. I love you both. Love you too, Mom. See you Friday. The phone went quiet and I put it down with hands that were steadier than they had been in weeks. I walked to my office and opened my computer. The screen lit up with possibilities I never thought about before. My fingers waited over the keys for just a second before I typed real estate agents Portland. The search results filled my screen like weapons in a war I was finally ready to win. I had always been careful and thorough. 23 years as a hospital nurse had taught me to research everything before making any decision. Tonight, that careful nature would help me in a different way. I looked through agent profiles, comparing how successful they were, just like I used to compare different medicines for my patients. West Hills, Lake Oswego, Pearl District. Neighborhoods where houses sold for the kind of money Marcus and Amanda were already spending in their dreams. One name kept showing up at the top. Robert Martinez, 40 years old, expert in quick sales, usually took only 20 days from listing to finish deal. His photo showed a friendly smile and confident eyes. The kind of person who could make things happen fast. His reviews were exactly what I needed to see. Robert sold our house in 5 days. Cash buyer found in 2 days. Easy closing, no problems. I stared at his phone number shown right below his name. This was it. The moment that would start everything moving. Once I made this call, I could not go back to being the grateful, easy-to-control old woman my son expected. Thomas's picture on my desk seemed to be watching me. I could almost hear his voice. Margaret, are you sure about this? I was sure. More sure than I had been about anything since his funeral. I called Robert Martinez with steady fingers. Martinez Real Estate, this is Robert. How can I help you? Mr. Martinez, my name is Margaret Chen. I want to sell my house quickly. How fast can these things really happen? Well, Mrs. Chen, that depends on a few things, but with the right property and price, I have closed deals in as little as 9 days with cash buyers. What kind of time are you thinking about? 9 days. My heart beat fast in my chest. That fast? Absolutely. Portland's market is incredibly hot right now, especially for nice houses in good neighborhoods. Can you tell me about your house? I looked around my kitchen, seeing it the way a buyer would see it for the first time. 2 floors, 3,100 square feet, built in 2003. West Hills area. 3 bedrooms, 2 full bathrooms. I have taken very good care of it. Did most of the work myself over the years. Robert's voice got more interested. That sounds exactly like what several of my investors want. Original owner, well-kept, established area. Those are top selling points. Would you like me to come look at the property? How soon could you visit? I can be there this afternoon if that works for you. Say 2 o'clock. I looked at the clock. It was just past 11 in the morning. 2 o'clock is perfect. Let me give you my address. After I hung up, I sat in the quiet of my kitchen. The hugeness of what I just started began to sink into my chest. In 3 hours, a stranger would walk through the house Thomas and I built together, putting dollar amounts on our memories. I spent the next 2 hours cleaning everything perfectly. Old habits from when Thomas would insist the house be spotless for any guest. I dusted the windows, straightened the pillows on the couch, made sure every surface shined. But this cleaning felt different. I was not preparing for visitors. I was preparing for goodbye. At exactly 2 o'clock, the doorbell rang. I smoothed my dress, took a deep breath that smelled like the flowers I kept in a vase, still there from Thomas's favorite garden, and walked to the front door. My hand shook slightly as it touched the gold door handle I put in myself 12 years ago. Beyond this door was either my freedom or my mistake. I turned the handle and opened the door to my future. Robert Martinez looked just like his photo. Professional but friendly, early 40s, with a kind of confident way of moving that came from years of successful work. He carried a nice folder and a tablet computer, and the moment he stepped inside, his eyes went big. He stopped in my hallway, his eyes looking up at the beautiful trim work I did by hand, then down to the wood floors Thomas and I chose together. Mrs. Chen, this is exactly what I was hoping to see. I watched him notice all the details. The afternoon light came through my window. The smooth way the living room connected to the dining room, which I made by taking out a wall and putting in a support beam. His appreciation was real and professional. You were not kidding about taking care of this place. He pulled out his tablet and started taking pictures. These wood floors, original. Put them in myself in 2005. Thomas wanted something that would last forever, so we picked solid oak 3/4 of an inch thick. Found myself falling into the familiar rhythm of talking about my work, feeling proud even with everything that was happening. And this kitchen. Robert stopped at the smooth counter, running his hand along the edge. Custom work every single inch. Picked the pattern myself. Said the gray spots reminded me of raindrops. My voice broke a little. I spent 4 weekends getting the measurements exactly right. Robert was typing notes on his tablet, taking pictures of the custom cabinets, testing the water and lights with the care of someone who knew what buyers wanted. Mrs. Chen, I have to be honest. In my 12 years doing this job, I rarely see properties kept to this level. I'm a nurse. Was a nurse. I believe in taking care of things the right way. Shows. He pointed toward the living room. May I look around? I nodded, following him as he admired the open space, the built-in bookshelves next to the fireplace, the way my decorating choices had turned our building project into a real home. This window, custom work. Built it. For my husband. He wanted a place to sit and read. I could picture him there with his history books and afternoon coffee. his reading glasses sliding down his nose. Robert was taking measurements now, barely able to hide his excitement. "Mrs. Chen, I need to show you some similar sales." He pulled up listings on his tablet. "Houses like this in your area have been selling for $750,000 to $850,000. My chest felt tight. That was more than Marcus and Amanda guessed in their cruel conversation. "But given the condition and special features of your home, I think we price it at $900,000. That should move it quickly while getting you top money." $900,000. I sat down heavily in my reading chair, the number spinning in my head. "That much money," I said quietly. "Mrs. Chen, you are sitting on a treasure. Houses like this do not come up for sale very often, especially not in this condition." Robert's voice had the confidence of someone who knew his business inside and out. "I actually have an investment company that has been looking for exactly this type of house." "What kind of company?" "They buy high-quality rental properties in established neighborhoods. They pay all cash. No bank loans. No arguing about repairs. They can close in 9 business days. 9 business days. Marcus and Amanda would be back from Seattle in 7 days, expecting to find their grateful, easy-to-manage mother ready to be shipped off to their hotel. "What is the problem? Why so fast?" Robert smiled. "No problem at all. Cash means no bank delays, no property value checks that could ruin the deal. They do their own inspections, but honestly, your house is in better shape than most brand new ones I see." "When would I need to leave?" "Standard contract gives you 30 days after closing, but they are flexible if you need more time. The main thing is getting clear ownership papers and finishing all the documents." I thought about Marcus's laugh when he called me too expensive to care for. About Amanda's cold planning of what I was worth in money. About 21 years of hard work turned into just a real estate deal. "Let us do it." Robert's professional face changed for just a moment, showing real excitement. "Excellent choice, Mrs. Chen. Let me call them right now." I watched him dial his phone. Heard him describe my house with the excitement of someone who found buried treasure. "West Hills area, original owner, perfect condition, custom features throughout." He ended the call with a big smile. "They want to move forward right away. I can have the first contracts ready by tomorrow morning." The sun was going down through my window, throwing golden light across the room where I just agreed to sell 21 years of my life. But for the first time since that terrible phone call, I felt something that had been missing for so long. Power. "How does 8:30 tomorrow morning sound?" The question hung in the air like smoke, and I realized Robert was waiting for an answer that would change everything. The clock in the hallway, Thomas's 10th anniversary gift to me, ticked steadily in the silence. 30 sounds wonderful. After Robert left with promises of contracts and closing dates, I stood alone in the house that would soon belong to someone else. The evening light through my windows painted everything gold, like a photograph of a life I was about to leave behind. But it was not sadness I felt. It was excitement. Robert came the next morning with papers, a notary lady, and coffee for all of us. The kind of professional speed I always respected. I read every single line carefully, the way I used to check medicine doses for my patients, looking at details. Sale price $900,000. Cash purchase. Closing date 9 business days from signing. The notary, a middle-aged woman with gentle eyes, helped me through each signature. Very few problems, just the title check and final look around. And I can stay in the house for 30 days after closing if I need to. That is correct, Mrs. Chen, though most sellers choose to move out sooner just for peace of mind. Peace of mind. I almost laughed out loud. The only peace of mind I would have would come from seeing Marcus and Amanda's faces when they found out what their burden had done. I signed my name with steady hands. And just like that, the process was moving forward. The first 3 days went by in a blur of paperwork and inspections. The title company started looking through decades of records. The investors sent their team, polite people who loved my work and found nothing wrong. "Your mother-in-law really knew what she was doing," one of them said to another worker, thinking I had already moved out. "These floors, this electrical wiring, all top quality. Days 4 through 6, I became a woman with a secret mission. I looked for apartments online, searching for something small but comfortable. Somewhere I could start fresh with nearly $900,000 in the bank. I found a place in Beaverton, a senior building with a pool and an activity room. The kind of place Thomas and I sometimes dreamed about for our older years. I also called storage places, planning which of Thomas's things I would keep and which I would have to leave for the new owners. His favorite mug, definitely. His watch. The photo albums. The important pieces of a life lived together. Days 7 through 9 brought a strange confidence I had not felt in years. Each morning I woke up knowing I was one step closer to freedom. One step closer to showing my son that his confused old mother was sharper than he ever imagined. Mrs. Wilson from across the street noticed the activity. Asked about the inspectors and official-looking people. Just some maintenance work being done. I told her, hating the half-lie, but knowing the full truth would spread through the neighborhood before I was ready. On day 8, Robert called with final news. Everything is on track for tomorrow's closing, Mrs. Chen. The buyers are very happy with the inspection results. Money transfer will happen the same day. You will have access to the money immediately. That night I packed one suitcase with clothes and personal items. Not because I was moving yet, but because I wanted to be ready for anything. I looked at Thomas's picture on our dresser and whispered, I hope you understand what I am doing. Friday morning came bright and clear. The kind of spring day Thomas used to say was Portland at its very best. I dressed carefully in my best outfit. Not the funeral dress, but the green one Thomas bought me for Marcus's wedding. The title company office was all business and congratulations. The buyers had their lawyer there, a smart woman who checked every document twice. Robert handled the paperwork like a music conductor leading an orchestra. Mrs. Chen, if you will sign here and here. Put your initials there. Each signature felt like breaking a chain. The ownership transfer, the money statement, the final paper saying 1204 Elm Street no longer belonged to Margaret Chen. And this is your money transfer. Proof. $900,000 minus closing costs has been put into your account. I stared at the numbers on the paper. More money than I had ever seen in one place. More money than Marcus and Amanda dreamed their burden could touch. We shook hands all around. Everyone pleased with the smooth deal. Robert walked me to my car, promising to stay in touch if I ever needed real estate help again. You made the right choice, Mrs. Chen. Sometimes a fresh start is exactly what we need. I drove home through neighborhoods I had known for 21 years. Past the elementary school where Marcus learned his ABCs. Past the park where Thomas and I used to walk every Saturday morning. But instead of sadness, I felt free. I pulled into my driveway and sat in my car, looking at the house that was no longer mine. The keys to the front door felt heavy in my hand. But tomorrow I would give them to the new owners and walk away from this part of my life. Marcus and Amanda would be back from Seattle in 2 days. They would arrive expecting to find their grateful, easy-to-control mother ready to be packed off to their hotel. Instead, they were going to find an empty house and a lesson they would never forget. I got out of my car and walked toward my front door, reaching for my phone to make the next call in a plan that was working better than I ever hoped. The car engine made ticking sounds as it cooled in my driveway, but I could not make myself turn it off. I sat staring at the house I built with my own hands. The house that now belonged to strangers. The house where Marcus and Amanda expected to return and find their grateful, controllable mother waiting to be shipped away. The keys to the front door felt like rocks in my hand. New owners or not, I still had access for 30 days. Time enough to finish what I started. I drove to the coffee shop on Oak Street and parked in the lot. My hands were steady as I called information for a 24-hour locksmith. The emergency visit would cost an extra $175, but money was not a worry anymore. Quick Lock Services, this is Danny speaking. I need all my door locks changed today. It is very urgent. What kind of time are we talking about, ma'am? As soon as you can get here. Can pay cash. I can be there in 90 minutes. What is your address? Back at the house, I waited for Danny in my car, watching Mrs. Wilson work in her flower garden next door. She waved and I waved back. My chest tight with the knowing that I was lying to everyone who cared about me. Danny showed up in a truck full of tools and equipment, a man in his 50s who clearly had seen every kind of lock problem Portland had to offer. "Security problem, ma'am?" he asked, looking at my front door. "New ownership situation. Better to be safe than sorry." He nodded like he understood and started working. I watched him take off the locks I put in 12 years ago. The gold hardware I picked out because it matched our mailbox. "These are really good locks," Danny said as he worked. "Somebody knew what they were doing when they put these in." That was me. I like things done correctly. The new locks were silver instead of gold, modern instead of traditional. They made a different clicking sound when Danny tested them. A sharper, more mechanical sound than the old ones. "Here are your new keys, ma'am. 3 copies of each. Front door, back door, and side garage entrance." Danny handed me a key ring that felt strange in my hand. "That will be $425 with the emergency fee." I paid in cash from my purse, knowing there would be no paper trail connecting Margaret Chen to this action. After Danny left, I stood in my empty house and started the hardest part. Packing 21 years of life into what I could carry. Thomas's watch went into my suitcase first, along with our wedding pictures and the book he was reading when he died. Bookmarks still on page 112. My nursing certificates, our important papers, Thomas's favorite recipe. Book with notes written in the edges. I left almost everything else. The furniture that told our story had to stay. The photo albums showing Marcus growing up. Thomas's clothes still hanging in our closet, still smelling faintly like his soap. While I packed, I called Riverside Senior Apartments on my phone, explaining that I needed a furnished studio right away. "We have a lovely unit available for immediate move-in," said Mr. Park, the building manager. "Month-to-month lease if you want flexibility." "I will. Take it." I met Mr. Park at the apartment building an hour later. A nice but simple building made for older people, with an elevator and well-kept gardens. The studio apartment was small but cozy, furnished with everything I needed to start over. "Cash deposit is fine, Mrs. Chen. When would you like to move in?" "Tonight." Mr. Park's eyebrows went up a little, but he did not ask why. I signed the lease and gave him first month's rent plus deposit. Nearly $2,700 that would have seemed impossible to spend so easily just 2 weeks ago. Loading my car as the sun went down, I saw Mrs. Wilson watching from her window. She waved again, and I felt the weight of all the friendships I was ending, all the connections Marcus and Amanda forced me to cut. I took one last walk through the empty rooms. My footsteps sounding different now that the house belonged to someone else. In the kitchen where I taught Marcus to make pancakes. In the living room where we watched Marcus open birthday presents. In our bedroom where Thomas took his last breath while I held his hand. "I'm sorry, honey," I said out loud to Thomas's memory. "But you would understand. You always said I gave too much for my own good." I locked the new locks and drove away from Elm Street for what might be the last time. My mirror full of the life I was leaving behind. The sun was setting when I got to Riverside Apartments, my car loaded with the important pieces of my life. I carried my suitcase to my new front door, struggling with new keys for new locks. Inside the small apartment, I dropped my suitcase and immediately reached for my phone. The final part of my plan needed one more call. One more piece of the puzzle that would give Marcus and Amanda the surprise of their lives. The apartment felt like a hotel room. Useful but empty, with plain furniture and the smell of new carpet. I stood holding my phone. Thomas's picture already sitting on the bedside table, trying to decide which bank would best protect nearly $900,000 from the children who thought they deserved it. I opened my computer on the small table and started looking for banks that worked with large deposits. Oregon Trust Bank caught my attention. Smaller than the big chain banks, focused on personal service and privacy. Exactly what I needed. Oregon Trust Bank, Private Banking Department. "This is Susan Miller." "Ms. Miller, my name is Margaret Chen. I need to open an account for a large deposit." Around $900,000. A short silence on the other end told me Susan was changing her plans for the day. We would be very happy to work with you, Mrs. Chen. When would be good for a meeting? Monday morning, 8:30. Perfect. I will have everything ready. The weekend stretched ahead of me like unknown territory. I had never lived anywhere but the house Thomas and I built together. This tiny apartment felt like being sent away, but it was being sent away by my own choice. My choice, not theirs. Saturday morning I made coffee in the strange little kitchen and slowly unpacked my things. Thomas's watch on the dresser. My nursing awards on the bookshelf. Our wedding photo beside the bed where I would sleep alone in a space that never knew Thomas. I drove to the grocery store and bought food for one person. Simple meals. Nothing that needed the kind of cooking Thomas loved. The checkout lady, a young woman with a nice smile, asked if I was new to the neighborhood. Just moved in. I told her. Starting over. Sunday morning I found a coffee place called Morning Brew 4 blocks from my apartment. The young man working there, named Jake with red hair, made the kind of strong coffee I liked. You are new around here, he said, not being nosy, just friendly. Retired nurse. I said, looking for a quieter life. Well, you found the right spot for that. Most of our customers are pretty relaxed. I sat by the window with my coffee, watching people walk their dogs and push baby strollers, living the kind of normal Sunday morning Thomas and I used to love. But instead of sadness, I felt something I had not felt in months. Oh. Monday morning I dressed in my best outfit and drove to Oregon Trust Bank. Susan Miller was younger than I expected, maybe 42, with a kind of professional warmth that came from handling people's life savings. Mrs. Chen, what brings you to Oregon Trust Bank? I recently sold my house. I need a fresh start with a bank that values personal relationships over fees. Susan nodded with real understanding. We focus on exactly that kind of service. Tell me about your needs. I explained my situation carefully. A widow who sold her family home and needed secure, easy-to-access banking. Susan asked good questions, never asking more than what was needed for setting up the account. I will need to transfer the money from my previous bank. I explained. No problem at all. We can start that transfer today and the money should arrive by Wednesday. Susan prepared the paperwork quietly and efficiently. Online banking, debit card and checkbook. All standard services. Given the amount, I would also suggest our premium account for extra security features. I signed papers that made me an official customer of Oregon Trust Bank. Customer number 563821, with access to nearly $900,000 that Marcus and Amanda would never touch. Tuesday and Wednesday passed in the strange rhythm of my new routine. Morning coffee at Morning Brew. Jake remembered what I liked and asked about my weekend. Afternoon walks through the neighborhood, finding a small park with benches where other retired people fed birds and read books. Wednesday afternoon, Susan called with the news I had been waiting for. Mrs. Chen, your money has cleared successfully. Your account is fully active. I hung up and looked around my small apartment. At Thomas's picture watching me from the table. At the simple life I was building from the pieces of my son's betrayal. For the first time since Thomas died, I felt truly in control of my own life. Wednesday evening I sat in my single chair. Not Thomas's reading chair. Not the soft couch where I heard Marcus's betrayal. Just a plain chair in a plain room that belonged completely to me. I opened my computer and typed small spy cameras into the search. My fingers waited over the keys, knowing that what I was about to buy would record the final act of my revenge. Marcus and Amanda were coming back on Friday, expecting to find their grateful old mother ready to be controlled. Instead, they were going to discover that their burden had become their biggest nightmare. The search results filled my screen with many spy camera options. From obvious security cameras to devices hidden inside normal everyday objects. After 40 minutes of research, I found what I needed. A wireless tiny camera hidden inside what looked like a regular phone charger. The details were perfect for my careful mind. Wi-Fi connected with smartphone app, motion-activated recording, 10-hour battery life and very clear video quality. Most importantly, it could send live video directly to my phone from anywhere with internet. I ordered it with fast shipping, paying the extra $35 to make sure it arrived Thursday. The total cost was $139, an amount that would have made me think twice 2 weeks ago, but barely mattered now. With the camera ordered, I turned to the next important thing. The note that would explain everything to Marcus and Amanda when they found out their keys. Did not work. The first try was too angry, too full of the pain of their betrayal. The second was too cold, missing the personal hurt they caused. By the third try, I found the right feeling. Dignified but devastating. Loving but final. I wrote in my careful nurse's handwriting, the writing Thomas always loved. Dear Marcus and Amanda, if you are reading this, it means my plan worked perfectly. I heard your phone conversation about putting me in a nursing home because I am too much trouble. I heard you planning how much money you would make selling my house. The house has been sold for $900,000 cash. The money is safely in my new bank account where it will stay. I have moved to a place where I am valued, not just tolerated. Do not worry about me. Worry about your own living situation. Your things have been packed and are being kept at Portland Moving and Storage on Main Street. You have 30 days to pick them up before storage fees start. I gave you everything I had for 40 years. You paid me back by planning to put me away so you could steal my life's work. I hope the lesson was worth the price. Love, Mom. Thursday morning, the delivery truck came to my apartment with a small package containing my spy equipment. I spent an hour in my kitchen testing the device and learning the phone app. The video quality was amazingly clear. The sound good enough to hear quiet conversations. Thursday afternoon, I drove to my old house for the last time. I used the garage opener I never gave Marcus and Amanda, parking inside to avoid questions from neighbors. My hands shook a little as I walked to the front door with my new keys. Inside, the house still smelled like home. The flowers I kept, the wood polish I used on furniture, the faint smell of 21 years of family dinners. But there were new things that made my chest hurt. Marcus and Amanda's suitcases by the stairs. Their mail spread out on the kitchen counter. Proof that they had been treating my house like their personal storage space while planning to kick me out. I put the camera charger by the front door outlet, angling it perfectly to record anyone entering. The view through my phone app showed the whole entryway, including the spot where I planned to hang my note. I tested the motion sensor, walking in and out of the camera view until I was sure the system would record every moment of their return. Then I taped the envelope to the inside of the front door at eye level, where they could not possibly miss it. Standing in my living room one final time, I touched the shelf where Thomas's picture had sat for 19 years. The new owners would put their own family pictures there, create their own memories in the rooms Thomas and I filled with love. It is done, sweetheart. I whispered to Thomas's memory. Justice is coming. I locked the house with my new key, tested the camera one more time from my car, and drove back to my apartment. The motion sensor was on, the battery fully charged, and my phone ready to alert me the moment Marcus and Amanda found out their keys did not work. Back in my apartment, I sat in my chair with my phone in my hand, watching the empty doorway through the camera app. The timestamp showed 5:45 Wednesday evening. Tomorrow, Marcus and Amanda would return from their work trip, probably talking about their nursing home plans and already spending my money in their heads. They had no idea their grateful old mother had become their worst enemy. I woke Friday morning with the excitement of a person about to see justice after years of being used. My coffee tasted better than it had in weeks, and even the small apartment felt less limiting as I settled into my chair with my phone. The camera feed showing my empty old doorway. 3:45. They should be here soon. I had memorized their travel habits. Marcus always insisted on leaving Seattle by 11 to avoid traffic, and Amanda drove exactly the speed limit. They would be pulling into my driveway within the hour. I looked at Thomas's picture on my table. I hope you understand what I am doing, honey. They left me no other choice. 4:20. My phone buzzed with motion detection. A silver car, Amanda's car, pulled into the driveway of my old house. My heart pounded in my chest as I watched the screen. Amanda got out first, stretching after the long drive. Marcus came out from the passenger side, pulling their suitcases from the trunk. They moved with the easy confidence of people coming home to claim what they thought was theirs. I watched them walk to the front door. Amanda digging her keys from her bag while Marcus put the luggage down. She put her key in the lock I had changed just yesterday. The key did not turn. Amanda frowned, looking at her key ring closely. She tried again, jiggling the key with growing frustration. That is strange. Her voice came through my phone speaker clearly. My key is not working. Marcus stepped closer, his face changing from tired to worried. Me try. The back door. I watched him disappear around the side of the house while Amanda kept struggling with the front lock. When Marcus came back 4 minutes later, his face had turned dark with worry. Back door is locked too and the garage remote is not opening. His voice had the edge of panic I hoped to hear. Amanda, someone changed all the locks. What? That is impossible. Mom does not even know how to call a locksmith. Marcus studied the front door more carefully, his business mind recognizing trouble when he saw it. These are brand new locks. This was not an accident. Amanda pulled out her phone with shaking fingers. I am calling Mom. I watched her dial my old home phone, the number I had disconnected 4 days ago. After many rings, her face showed confusion and fear. No answer. It is not even going to voicemail. Try her cell. She does not have a cell phone, remember? We talked about getting her one for safety. Her voice cracked with the first hint of real panic. Marcus was checking the windows. Oh, his earlier confidence completely gone. That one is not locked. Can lift you up. I watched my son help his wife climb through the kitchen window I purposely left unlocked, her work clothes catching on the frame. She disappeared inside and moments later the front door opened from within. Marcus entered with their suitcases, and both of them stopped completely still when they saw the white envelope taped to the door at eye level. Amanda's hand shook as she pulled down the envelope with her name and Marcus's written in my careful writing. I leaned forward in my apartment chair, phone held tight in both hands as she ripped open the seal. Her eyes moved across my words. Marcus reading over her shoulder. I watched their faces change. Confusion to shock to disbelief to complete horror. She sold the house. Amanda's voice rose to almost a scream. How could she do this to us? Marcus grabbed the note from her hands, reading it again like the words might somehow be different. That sneaky old woman. He was playing us this whole time. $900,000. Amanda was crying now, her careful makeup running down her face. She kept every penny. That money was supposed to be our lake house. Your lake house. Marcus snapped, his mask of caring son finally breaking. This is your mother, Amanda. You should have been smarter about this. My fault. She turned on him, years of hidden anger coming out. You are the one who said she was too much trouble. You are the one who pushed for the nursing. Well, she was trouble. Look what she has done to us. Marcus waved his arms wildly around the room that was no longer theirs. We have nowhere to live. Our apartment lease ends next week. The beautiful irony was not lost on me. They were fighting in my living room about being homeless, just as they planned to make me homeless in their nursing home. Call a lawyer. Amanda said desperately. There has to be something we can do. She cannot just sell the house without telling us. With what money? Marcus's voice was full of anger. In case you forgot, I have been unemployed for 7 months and your job barely pays for our car. Then get a job. Where do you think companies are rushing to hire people who got fired for stealing from clients? I watched my daughter-in-law's face fall apart as she realized the full truth of their situation. No house, no inheritance, no savings, and Marcus's job problems finally out in the open. How could she be so mean? She whispered. The same way you were mean when you called her too much trouble and planned to warehouse her. Marcus shot back. The old woman was smarter than both of us combined. Through my phone screen, I watched them collapse onto my old furniture. Furniture that would be gone tomorrow when the new owners moved in. Amanda buried her face in her hands while Marcus stared at my note with the look of a man who finally understood he had been beaten. I turned off the camera. I had seen enough. Walking to my small kitchen, I opened the bottle of Thomas's favorite wine I saved from the house. A 2016 Pinot Noir we were saving for a special day that never happened. I poured myself a glass and raised it toward Thomas's picture. To you, my love. Justice served. The wine tasted like winning. They learned what happens when you treat your mother like garbage. My phone buzzed with a text from a number I did not know. Probably Marcus trying to reach me through some new way. I deleted it without reading and turned off the phone completely. Walking to my window, I looked out at the Portland skyline painted orange by the setting sun. Somewhere across the city, my son and his wife were facing the results of their cruelty. Somewhere in my old house, they were learning that their burden had become their biggest problem. For the first time in 2 years since Thomas died, I felt completely free. I was no longer anyone's burden. I was my own woman again, with my own money, my own choices, and my own future stretching ahead like an open highway. Margaret Chin had left the building and she was never coming back. If you enjoyed this story, please like this video, subscribe to Granny's Voice, and share your thoughts about this story in the comments. To listen to the next story, click on the box on the left. Thank you for watching.